Parnell Palmer-Guinness and Simon Banks, great to see you both. Thanks for being with us on this public holiday Monday. Simon, the Prime Minister was very keen to lean in and respond to the coalition's and the Liberal leaders' comments on climate targets.
Yeah, and hardly surprising. I mean, the coalition's in a complete steaming mess about this, Kieran. I mean, I'm not quite sure what Peter Dutton thought he was going to do, but to kick off a debate about whether or not they're actually going to commit to the Paris targets, then have to try and walk it back over the course of the weekend. They can't actually explain what their policy is or isn't. To some degree, I think there was some inevitability that they were going to have to tackle this issue at some point. The simple reality is that even if you believe that their nuclear power policy will actually be delivered at some point in the future, it's very clear the coalition's got no hope of achieving the current 2030 target, hasn't got a hope of achieving probably even a more ambitious 2035 target. So as I said, this is a mess of their own making. It's been coming for a while, and I think we've seen over the weekend how that's playing out.
Parnell, Ted O'Brien, the climate spokesperson for the Liberal Party, he'll be on this program in about an hour from now, but he's wanting to provide some clarity here. He says that the coalition is still committed to the Paris Agreement.
That's right. The point is not the commitment to the target. The point is what the achievable timeline is for that. And really what they're saying is that Labor's timeline is not realistic, certainly not with the technologies as they currently stand and as Labor is intending to pursue them. So, of course, there's a political aim here. The nuclear proposition comes together with this to say, essentially, we need to reach these climate targets, but we need to be very realistic about how we're going to get there. And, of course, it's coming at a time when people are really feeling the impact of power prices and are receptive to the fact that renewables and the transition to renewables are pushing up their prices without necessarily ending in the net zero emissions that we're all trying to get to.
This issue of the power prices, cost of living more broadly, this is where Murray Watt, the Minister for Agriculture, when he was on the program, Simon, he says, no wonder the polls are narrowing a bit. People are under the pump.
Yeah, they are. Cost of living is a really important issue out there. But the problem with Peter Dutton's plan is he's actually going to make our electricity more expensive. I mean, that's how silly this policy is. I mean, even if you think nuclear should be part of our energy mix at some point in the future, the simple truth is, in the Australian context, it's a more expensive solution. There's no solution for cost of living in Peter Dutton's approach.
Parnell, what's your read on that opinion poll today? It looks like it's neck and neck according to the latest news poll, but there are some structural issues the Liberal Party has to navigate, not the least of which those 6 Teal seats, if they need to be and want to be competitive.
Yeah, look, I know a lot of on the Liberal side won't like me saying this, but to me this still looks like a 2-election strategy. What we're doing is putting the Liberal Party in a really good position for this to be in a stronger position going into this next election. But I don't see there is much of a path to victory, even from this narrowing in this coming election. But, of course, there is going to be a lot of horse trading around as seats shift around a bit. And Dutton wants to be in a stronger position for the term following, which is when the Australian people really do start looking at a second-term Prime Minister and thinking, well, we gave you a second term, now what are you going to do with it? So that's always been the traditional Australian way. We give Prime Ministers 2 terms, so unless they're thrown over by people within their own party, that's what they get. But then in that second term, they're really under the pump to show that they're there for a reason.
Is the message on climate targets, Simon, a confirmation that Peter Dutton is not having a look at those Teal seats? He doesn't see them as his goal at the upcoming election?
Well, I think you only need to look at the reaction of those Teal members of Parliament themselves. I mean, they've jumped on this issue. It was one of the 3 key issues that they campaigned on strongly at the last election for further action on climate change. Of course, they actually want the government to go even further in relation to these measures. So I think Peter Dutton's certainly out of touch with that part of the community, but it's not just that. I mean, you have to look at that great swag of seats right throughout Middle Australia and through significant parts of regional Australia that actually think climate change is a real issue, that you actually have to be a grown-up and an adult and actually have a serious policy to tackle it, not some desire just to push this problem off somewhere into a far distant future with something that you know just ultimately doesn't work. I think Australians want a serious government. And I think what we've seen over the weekend is that Peter Dutton has shown that he's just not actually serious about tackling the tough issues that Australia needs to tackle.
And only 20 seconds left, Parnell. There is the challenge of keeping his party together, the moderates, the Nationals, across the spectrum. He's done it so far. Can he do it through to the election?
That's going to be a challenge, especially with this energy policy, which of course is very divisive within the Liberal Party, where you do have people who are much more focused on renewables and those who see nuclear as the most sensible way to get there. So his challenge will be to navigate that middle ground, which is lowering emissions in the surest possible way. And if he can do that, he'll get through.
Parnell, Simon, great to see you both. Thanks.